And this is it. The winner takes $100. It is Qwest versus Sheik versus Radient versus Ishan, aka Nightwing, and we play on Fountain of Manipulation. We will talk a little bit about manipulation, I think, because that is probably a topic that we have to get into. And with that being said, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I am.
Count us down.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Here we go. Oh man, I'm excited. I don't know how long it's been since we three casted together, but it feels like a year or something. Way too long.
What's a year in Warcraft 3 terms, right?
True.
It's nothing. Fountain of Manip here. One of the most classy maps and also one of the most balanced maps, and not as big as the map that was initially assigned to this match. So interesting to see this, and yeah, I prefer this over the map that was chosen initially. So very nice.
So what happened? I thought, wasn't the final going to be on Harvest? I heard that maybe there was a disconnect or something like that originally.
Yeah, and since Harvest is a lot bigger, I guess they decided to swap the map just because of size and expected game length. So I guess, or maybe there was something wrong with the map file, but I don't really think that was the case.
Got it.
Yeah, I think that was the reason they just wanted to cut it a little shorter after the initial disconnect. But since the map is called Fountain of Manipulation, let's talk a bit about it. So in War3 Champions, there is chat. You can manipulate. You can play politics in FFA here.
Yeah, and it's a never-ending discussion, honestly. And I already read it in the chat right now. So FFA should be without chat, and is there chat or not? And it's really it's very difficult to solve, honestly. This one is with chat, and arguably, like, not everything you read is true, obviously, and sometimes it can be annoying. But usually, if you have, like, with this cast with experienced players, it could be no chat. It usually doesn't change much because everyone is scouting usually and knows what's going on. But especially for new players, while it can be annoying, it's also helpful to have chat, because without chat you're really lost against experienced FFA players, and sometimes it feels as if things are coordinated by chat, but more often they are not really. And we will see here, we have some very chat-heavy players here, so we will read some chat, but it should not, people shouldn't read too much into that chat. Just because someone is writing or asking for help doesn't mean he's necessarily getting that help. So, yeah.
And I think the map is Fountain of Manipulation, and it's kind of a play on the taboo of manipulation. But in reality, the map is small. As HighTac mentioned, it's balanced. It's just a 4-player map, so there's only there's not other spawns. Everybody's evenly balanced. So we'll see, because these players, Gradient and Qwest, they're famous for rebuilding, never being able to be eliminated. More difficult to play that kind of style on this map.
Speaking of the players, who do we got here? Introduce these legends to us.
Yeah, we have from Russia, we have Qwest here at the top left, Undead player, famous for his Qwest BO, where he goes for an extremely quick tech without any production buildings, just first getting a second Necropolis and then instantly teching just to get the second hero out ASAP. So as you see, he is not even 5-minute mark and Lich already almost out. So yeah, he's famous for that, and for great macro player. He's one of the strategical masterminds, so he's extremely good in managing his economy. And late game, he likes to, if he has the gold and has acolytes out on the map, he likes to lose his main base and just get an advantage somehow, even if it means to give up main base and then just to rebuild and run under the radar. So he's, yeah, definitely one, or probably the strongest active undead FFA player. And yeah, next to him is Radient here from Poland, the famous legend, often faced also by Grubby in ladder games and known for getting a wall of ancient protectors. And he's also great with the macro play late game. Likes to either be on 50 supply or 100 supply. And not to be underestimated, like he definitely knows what he's doing. Although sometimes it seems he's not, but he's very capable. And then we have Nightwing, aka Ishan, from the US, who I'm not sure if he picked human or if he picked random. Like he's a random player usually, but sometimes picks races. He was the top ranked player, so he initially chose the map, and he's also very experienced, more than 15 years of FFA experience, and likes to man up a lot. So he's also very clever player. And then last but not least, we have Sheik, who is, I guess the most well-known player of these four outside of the FFA scene, and who participated in all recent FFA events. So he became very, very experienced in FFA also. Not as experienced as the other players here, but of course he has better micro, and very interesting to see him with human here.
Yeah, I think Ishan was picking human, but Sheik was randoming, and I've seen a lot of Undead games from Sheik, but I've never seen him off race, so this is interesting for me to see him with human.
Yeah, usually I saw him with Undead or with Orc in FFA, but I guess he can play any race, and yeah, it will be interesting here to see him potentially facing Ishan in a human mirror, and Ishan going for Rifleman here, while Sheik is directly attacking to Griffins, as it seems. So we'll see if they are going to face each other, who's going to have the upper hand.
Yeah, I think the last time we casted together was like 2 patches ago or something. So Seksi, tell me, what's the meta in FFA right now?
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting back into it a little bit, so HighTac could probably speak on that a little bit more so to me than I could. But I know that I will say that it's interesting because this cast is kind of a contrast in styles where you have Sheik, who's the best solo player, really good micro, relatively new to the scene, and then Ishan and Radient and Qwest are all three of arguably the most seasoned free-for-all players, very, very good. If you can win a game versus even one of these guys, you got to feel good about yourself just because they're so difficult to beat in the long run. So it's interesting because all three players kind of have a similar style outside of Sheik. As far as the meta goes, I think that there's just kind of different styles on how you can play human, and HighTac touched on that a little bit. So Sheik is going to tech for, looks like Griffins and Priest, and he'll probably rush Ishan, if I can imagine, just because Qwest will be playing a gargoyle base, whereas Ishan chose to play rifles, can creep the map a little bit better, and he'll likely try to get this middle camp with the dragon as well. And Grady will be Grady. He's gonna make a lot of towers. He's gonna be 50 food. He's gonna come to 100 food. Likely choose his target after the other people are fighting. So we'll see how the strategies develop.
Yeah, and I think very fortunate here for Gradient's enemies that he's not going for like some Tinker animal harass that he's famous for, but going for we tend to call it Trunks strat because Trunks is the strongest elf player, FFA elf player that is active, and he always plays Demon Hunter Naga Priestess of the Moon, and that's what Gradient is playing here, contrary to some animal mass chimera strat. So I think that's an advantage here for the other players to not deal with this annoying strat. And meta-wise, I think it's the most recent patches have not changed that much, honestly. But I mean, surely we have seen some evolution. For Elf is playing more Mountain Giants for 2 years now, I would say, and Undead's a Necro here and there. But all in all, I think human was affected most, I guess, by the patch, or by the patches, by not playing mass tanks anymore that often. I would say it's a human definitely affected the most.
Okay, so is that good for human because they have other options, or do they suffer because tanks aren't that valid anymore?
I mean, historically, Human has been the strongest FFA race, I would say. Has won the most titles, and Mass TP, especially on big maps, is just the most relevant skill there is. So Human has, in the past, Human had a lot of options: tanks, griffins, early rifle pushes. There's many options that Humans had, but since the Tinker got buffed that heavily, and Human is often facing Tinker now, and Tinker is extremely powerful against tanks and gyros. That has been a bit nerfed for Human, and also the tank nerf, so that especially that tanks are force supply and now give a bit less XP, but still a bit more than in the past. It's challenging for Humans. I would say they're still fine, but of course a bit weaker.
Yeah, I think Human was clearly the best free-for-all race for many years. And then the nerfs that HighTac alluded to, tanks going from 3 food to 4 supply, really changed the army compositions, because like an 80 food composition, with 6 tanks, then until now, just that difference in food makes your 80 food so much weaker. So I think people migrated to playing flying machines a little bit more, rifles a little bit more. Obviously, they had a buff as well. But let's not forget, Brilliance Aura at level 3 was also nerfed. The Divine Shield duration was nerfed as well on the Paladin. So Human was really hit hard in combination with, as HighTac said, the Tinker buffs with rockets that can hit air, and then same with Carrion Swarm that can hit air. Yep. So I'd say the races are all pretty much equal now. I think the balance is pretty good, but Human's definitely a little bit weaker than they were.
And we see a first fight here between Radient and Ishan here at this expo, and the Human forced into a TP.
So it's interesting because Qwest called out that he's fighting Gradient, and then Ishan quickly typed like, "Oh, you're toming him again," kind of thing. But then Ishan decided to fight Gradient briefly, so I think he would rather fight Gradient with this rifle-based army than have to have an early one-on-one with Sheik. So maybe he's kind of forcing the action by attacking and then having Sheik attack Qwest instead. You think that's the case, HighTac?
Yeah, I guess. I think Sheik's advantage here is that all these 3 other players know how difficult it is to face, like Nightwing, Gradient, and Qwest. Like they're all, I guess, suspecting each other to like just horde or man at them. So I think Sheik can fly under the radar here, and yeah, I mean Gradient usually early game you can fight him much more easily than late game. So I guess that's why Qwest and Nightwing want to face Gradient rather than Sheik. So she can potentially use this as an advantage. Ooh, Paladin getting staffed out here. Yeah, now Gradient is the one who TPs out.
Right, and there's still a couple of mortars, maybe some of these towers falling here. For Gradient, I see a Naga with Mana Shield, and as a one-on-one caster, I am very confused about that choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's not it's a very strong spell, especially if you get Naga to high level, or if you play on a map like this with the marketplace where you can buy mana pendants and stuff. So Mana Shield, extremely strong, really. Of course, you need to decide whether you want to go for Arrow then or Lightning Shield, but Mana Shield is a really nice spell.
Yeah, I think it's a unique choice. Obviously you'd think you'd go Forked Lightning and Cold Arrow, but Gradient's style is not a whole lot of micro, just really good macro and decision making. And as HighTac pointed out, Mana Shield does scale extremely well, which people wouldn't be able to see a level 7, 8, 9 Naga in a solo game oftentimes. But at level 3 Mana Shield, like the Naga is almost unkillable, and then Cold Arrow just helps to target with Hippo Riders or Chims, and it actually makes the Elf army very, very good and also easy to manage and easy to micro playing Cold Arrow and Mana Shield.
All right, sounds good so far.
Hey, what time are you guys at? I think I'm just a few seconds behind you guys.
I'm at 15, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 55.
Perfect.
Okay. All right,
Perfect.
so far I'd say there's no clear advantage for anyone really.
Yeah, but I would say so. Like, no one has lost this mid expo, which is really painful because it's far from your main base, so it's very difficult to take it back once you lost it. And that's usually like the beginning of the end for you if you lose it. And now we see Sheik here with inner fire tanks moving towards Qwest's mid expo. And yeah, let's see how Qwest is able to deal with it.
Yeah, note that Qwest is 80 food, and Sheik is basically 100 food. So it's going to be difficult for Qwest here. We'll see if he's able to survive these tanks.
There's a second fight as well here. We see Rocket from the tanks, of course, doing kind of nicely against Gargs. Double heal ward, not cancelled by Sheik at all. Quite interesting.
But still, difficult fight for Qwest here with mass air, and he was, I would say, too close to the tanks, not dispelling inner fire, I guess. Did he? I haven't seen it at least. Ooh, but Radient pushing into Ishan's main base here.
Losing the second hero already. That's some good experience for Ishan. And how do you get this Demon Hunter out? Oh, no Stormbolt anymore. Okay, so just walk it off, I guess.
Needs to potentially use the TP here if he gets a mana potion, which he does. Ooh, I guess he has still enough time.
In the meantime, Qwest's base is gonna get wrecked here.
Yeah, I think a criticism of Qwest style, just going gargoyles no matter what in every situation, it does hurt you when you face a good orc or even a good human, excuse me, or a good orc in this manner. Because you would like to have a fiend-based army against human early, like an 80 or 100 food of fiends, worms, destroyers, maybe some anti-magic shield. It's much more effective against human early. Now, once Undead gets level 5 heroes, specifically level 5 Dreadlord, then of course they can fight with mass Gargs, they can fight tanks and gyros. But early game with level 2 Dreadlord, level 4 Death Knight, the gargoyles are just ineffective, and I think Sheik is using that to his advantage. And the army composition makes it more difficult for Qwest.
Yeah, he's adding some worms now, so 3. He had 1 worm before, now he has 3, so he might be able to fight this off. But
yeah, he looks to be in a good spot now. Oh, but the lid goes down.
Oh yeah, this does not look like a great fight at all for Qwest. Still, the heal wards go through pretty much the entirety of the fight. Mana's getting rather low, but so are the Gargs. Qwest losing quite a bit, down to 80.
But he wants to lose the Gargs, so as long as he has worms still to deal with all these tanks, there are no more other units basically, so he can kill the tanks easily with these worms, and then he doesn't want to be in high upkeep after this fight is over. Ideally, he even wants to drop to 50 and get back the main mine in peace. That's what he will attempt, I guess. But yeah, he found back Sheik. Sheik is down to 900 gold, 64 supply, while Qwest has 4k gold and 68 supply. So arguably, Qwest in a really good spot.
Yeah, well done by Qwest there. I think Sheik with human is probably not as good as when I saw him play with Undead. His army composition seemed good, but he didn't really macro behind it, and maybe microed a little bit strange there with his units as well. But Qwest definitely in a good spot, and meanwhile Ishan and Gradient are fighting pretty much neck and neck. I think Ishan has a decent advantage. It looks like 80 food, almost 2k gold. Good use of the gyrocopters against Gradient there. And I think Gradient is just a little bit unfamiliar with fighting these super early fights. You see that he invests a lot of money into his economy and into his towers and moonwells in his main base, which of course doesn't serve him on the battlefield, early on in the game.
All right, from what I learned last time I cast with you, sometimes you purposefully leave your opponent alive to like tome him or feed off experience from him. Is that the case already here somewhere?
I don't think so, because all players are it's not easy to finish someone off entirely. Everyone has rather low gold here, so I wouldn't say so. And also it's pretty risky in this kind of situation to leave someone alive, because you want to make it into the 3-way, and usually good players will realize once someone gets tomed too hard. and will maybe even help him to stay alive. So if you have a chance to finish someone early in a four-way, you usually try to do that, unless you know you can finish him very easily in a few minutes.
It does look like that Sheik and Qwest, they called for peace. And it's funny that Sheik says he has 2 shredders, but he only has 3-1 upgrades on his tanks and 1 armor upgrade on his spellbreaker. So he's a little bit behind in macro. I think he kind of needed the piece when he didn't finish Qwest up at his expansion. He's going to want peace, level 3 Paladin, level 3 Mountain King. He's going to want a chance to get gold. And Qwest is okay with that as well, because likewise, right? They're okay if they both accumulate their gold while Ishan and Radient fight. Now, peace isn't going to last forever. They're going to scout. They may even re-engage, at 80 or 100 food. But it is, if you can't definitively finish your opponent quickly and all 4 players are skilled, it does make sense not to just go all out, and to preserve some gold and to scout and be patient, because, you're playing the long game, right? It's not just to win your initial one-on-one. You want to have enough gold and, a position to win the game even after you win the initial fights.
Ooh, and Gradient getting a nice fight here, getting a lot of kills. Obviously, without Panda Tinker, it's very hard to face human here. So he really wants Demon Hunter at 6 and maybe Priestess at level 6 at some point to have Starfall. Both spells very powerful against human. And for now, he's in a good spot, I guess. Wants to get back his main mine. And are Sheik and Qwest fighting again? Both got an army back, so I'm not sure. I think at some point it will become very hard for Sheik to fight Qwest with this tank-heavy army.
A player's forces are under attack.
Yeah, I agree. And just looking at items, also, Qwest Dreadlord has 2 Pendant of Energies, which is just insane. Easily the best item you can get that's not a high-level item on this map, so he'll be able to just stack those Carrion Swarms over and over and over again soon enough.
All right, so Ishan was saying we're dead now. Why is that?
Yeah, he will always pretend to be dead, even if he's winning. Really always. You can never trust. But it's not only him. Many players will say they are dead. Just because it's not... it will rarely be a disadvantage for them to pretend to be dead. It's always good to appear weak in FFA. It's never good to appear strong.
And he's also just convincing, I think he's trying to convince his opponent, Gradient, hey, let's stop fighting. We're both in a bad spot right now, using our gold. Let's scout the map. And really it is so he can, just gain gold and get a better advantage. But when you have someone that's going at you nonstop and no one is a clear winner, then yeah, you're hurting each other's chances a lot of the times.
Yeah, with an expansion here on the right-hand side, I think Gradient has to fight him to reclaim that gold mine.
Yeah, he surely has to. So, yeah, I think they will continue to fight as long as no one else is attacking them or no one is dying on the left side. They will definitely continue. And yeah, as Seksi mentioned... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say, Ishan basically made that decision to keep fighting as well when he's taking Gradient's Expo, right, in the middle. And it's smart because you see that Gradient is staying, or he was staying under 50 food. He was trying to fight with his heroes, accumulate a little bit of gold from both of his mines. He did that. He's going to go 80 food now. We'll see if he's able to push back Ishan, and he certainly needs to get that middle expansion.
Yeah, now Qwest moving in, knowing he can get some easy XP. It seems a bit sneaky here. He's backstabbing Gradient because he knows that's the easiest way to get XP. And I think he would have dropped to 50 supply if he wouldn't have had all these worms. But then with these worms he couldn't drop to 50, so he decided to get Gargs again and then just attack another player. And that's what he does here.
Yeah, smart to feed some experience there. It looks like Qwest is going to fight this back, but Qwest definitely getting. Gradient's going to fight this back, I believe. Qwest getting a lot of free experience here, though.
That's always the thing, right? You can get a lot of XP by backstabbing. Usually you spend trust for it. And also Sheik, like Sheik wants to do the same, but comes too late to the party. So now they team 3-on-1 against Radient here, which easily happens if you're the weakest player here, because you lost your mid mine, and everyone knows, oh yeah, that's probably the player who's going to be done first anyways. And very often that's the player who, like, it seems very rough if you just opposite, like if you observe it, but when I started to play FFA, it was super normal to just that one player needs to get out of the game. Like it's like at some point one player has to die, just so the balancing can start. And it doesn't help anyone to keep one player in the game. So usually after early one-on-ones, it's like and you mentioned it, Neo, it seemed as if Ishan was toming Gradient. So there was no reason for the other players to keep Gradient in the game.
Rough game for him, man. No gold anymore, just 60 pop. How do you even fight back from a situation like this?
Yeah, he will harass
he's fighting back in the way that he does, and it's smart, is he's going for the economy of the Undead player. And he can always be annoying by killing your acolytes, killing your mine. You know, he still has towers and moonwalls in his main base, so he is gonna last. He's not gonna die completely, and that's the problem with attacking Gradient, is that he'll always come at your economy. However, in this case, on this map, without those heroes that he typically plays, like Beastmaster and Tinker, he's playing a more standard combo. He's less of a threat in that manner, but again, his base is strong enough. His heroes are strong enough. I don't think he's going to be eliminated anytime soon.
Yeah, this is something that I remember from the last time we casted, that even if you're down to like 20 supply and have one gold mine left, there's still some weird comeback mechanisms in FFA.
Yeah, even that's the greatest thing about FFA, that even if you have only one wisp, as long as you have some gold to get back a Tree of Life, for example, in the case of a Night Elf, you're never out of the game until you're really out. In a game like this, where you face experienced players, it's less likely to survive, I would say, because players are aware that you're a threat if you can rebuild. But especially on ladder, or if you have inexperienced players, it's amazing to like be almost done and then like get back into the game and then win. Like that's a great feeling. So even if it takes like 2 hours sometimes, it's like still it's definitely worth it. And like to me, it feels more rewarding than 4-on-4 wins, for example. But also it's some serious time investment, I guess. So.
I just want to say a couple things on that. The reason for that is that in free-for-all, you invest in your heroes so much through items and hero experience. So, if you do have enough to rebuild, a main hall and then an altar and a moonwell or whatnot, eventually you can get your heroes back and claw back in the game, because high-level heroes, can certainly take on armies at the end of the game, or they can play in hero arena and they can rebuild. So it's definitely a cool factor, and yeah, it probably happens more often in ladder, but certainly a possibility here. And then just the other thing I wanted to say is that you see that Qwest is starting to get upset in the chat, cussing it, or not Qwest, I'm sorry, Ishan, cussing at Qwest in all caps, telling him not to manip. So there's some history between Ishan and Qwest. They certainly don't necessarily like each other so much. So it'll be interesting how that dynamic plays. Here they are fighting here on the top.
Spicy fight indeed. So let's see who comes out on top. Once again, the heal wards for such a long time. AoE hits hard, and now we got a level 6 Archmage with Mass Teleport. Have fun with that.
Yeah, Gradient is getting back his mid mine while Ishan is fighting Qwest here. So very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, so pretty good fight on both ends here. It's interesting that Qwest is very, very good at picking up these consumable items. He's usually the one that has healing wards and scrolls of the beast, which are so effective with big armies. But Ishan actually here with the healing ward, and it lasted for quite a while. So they're both taking some serious damages here.
Alright, gold mine is
and now Gradient joins the fray here.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean, to your point there, HighTac, right? Gradient kind of went for a sneaky move to backstab, or excuse me, Qwest did a sneaky move to backstab Gradient in his base to feed experience. But, he created a new enemy. And since he didn't eliminate him all the way, now he's coming through and doing the same thing to Qwest. So,
And all of a sudden, Qwest is in a very tough spot because he was not dropping to 50 and getting a bank. He still has 4k gold, but he has lost all expos. And all of a sudden, I would say he's in a worse spot than Radient here.
So, he has no mining going on anymore at all.
Yeah. So he really invested his trust by backstabbing Radient, hoping to maybe eliminate him and at least get a lot of XP. And now he's, he might get eliminated here.
Right, and he's not rebuilding his army. Kind of true to his style. You can see his main gold mine still has a lot of gold in it as well. It's not his plan to have to fight so much early in his base like this, and it's coming the fact that he backstabbed Grady or that he interrupted that, and that he didn't make an army. Some of these things are coming back to haunt him now.
Yeah, may even cancel the Gargs here, because usually he doesn't. It doesn't make sense to just pump some units into your enemy if you know you can't deal with them anyway. So he needs to hope for Sheik here, I guess.
And Qwest has no Acolyte, I think.
Would love to have my overlay for one-on-one now. Oh, that was a big carrion swarm. Looks like it. He has one Necropolis left, so he could rebuild,
he does have the Necropolis.
I'm really not sure why Sheik is helping here. I don't quite get it. I think it would make more sense for Sheik to also attack Qwest here, get some experience, and then, because if Qwest dies, at least one of these mines can be taken by Sheik very easily. So usually in Sheik's position, I would have rather attacked Qwest here and make sure I get one of these gold mines, because there's still a lot of gold in here. Like 4k gold can be very valuable.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll see if Qwest can hang on, because, like you said, he has 4k in his main. Gradient seems to have it out for him at this time. Everybody's pretty low in gold. Obviously Sheik has the most gold and about 100 food army. But Ishan is steadily mining this mine up top. He's under 50 food right now. And he has better hero levels than Sheik. So we'll see if Ishan can accumulate enough gold, and maybe Sheik will engage Qwest or Gradient, and Ishan might be in a good spot here going forward.
Yeah, and Sheik is 100 supply, and since he isn't mining, it definitely makes sense to be 100 here. But he should use this 100 supply ASAP to prevent another player from staying below 80 or even on 50. So he may try to attack yellow here.
Yeah, I would attack yellow if I was him for sure. I think he's a little bit uncertain of what he wants to do. He came up to try to save Qwest. He's been indecisive on attacking Ishan. But the thing is with human, especially in free-for-all, they really need hero levels. Like once human has, mass TP, they have level 5 MK, level 5 Paladin, they become so much stronger. So if you're 100 food, he's going to want hero levels for sure. And I think finally he's going to start doing that.
And the Lich is trying to escape here with an Invest Potion. But...
into the towers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sheik is getting threatened here by Ishan.
It's okay. Yeah, Ishan likes to talk, apparently. And he's getting punished for that. Sheik finally attacking, finally getting some levels in. But also Gradient, trying to kill Qwest right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Like you, as mentioned, you want to eliminate one player, and I think especially Gradient also now holding a grudge against Qwest for backstabbing him. So it feels good, to just pay back and kill him now. And Sheik, it's a bit tricky for him because Qwest being eliminated here, so no gold. So it definitely was not a good move after all to just attack Radient, and it seemed okay at the time, but backfired.
Go versus Teal, he kills me, mass army. And of course, he doesn't have an army himself, Ishan, to make an army here.
And that's a downside, right? Sheik was maybe a bit too hesitant here. I think he should have attacked quicker. Now he just attacked one useless town hall in the middle and gave Ishan time to manip and mine his main on 50 supply, not pumping above 50. So I think in this case he should have attacked the main base, forced him to get an army, and do it a bit quicker, because now it's 3-way, and Ishan will probably try to manip Radient into thinking that Sheik is the strongest player by far and team him.
Yeah, you said
So,
earlier that you want to create a 3-way as fast as possible. So, what changes in the dynamic of this game now?
Now you can start to balance, like you can really hold everyone accountable and try to get an advantageous position yourself, which is not really possible in a 4-way. But in a 3-way, you can either decide to team someone. If you like, it depends how honorful you want to play. Like usually you can just take turns after each other and try to fight, but you can also backstab. Like you can do whatever you want, basically. Of course, you want to be in the best position, but if one player is very far ahead, and sometimes you may not be able to face him alone if you don't have enough gold. Like if you look at Gradient here, he has only 1k gold and 40 supply, so he can try to weaken Sheik by killing some units, but he will not be able to face him or fight him. Like Sheik has almost 10k gold and 95 supply, so Gradient can only get some pick off. So in order to really weaken Sheik, he will need Ishan in this situation. So for Gradient, it will not make any sense to attack Ishan right now, or vice. Like it could make sense, but just to weaken Ishan. But as the same as with Sheik, he can only get some pickoffs, but he will really be relying on these two humans to like also fight each other.
And I think there's just so many infinite ways to play a 3-way, and like an example that we saw is that Gradient was in the top left. He saw Sheik creating this expansion. Ishan was asking for help. You know, Gradient saw him creating it and chose to not engage and let him have the expansion. And the reason why is because he wanted this expansion on the top left, right? So, you know, if he leaves the teal human alone, perhaps teal will leave him alone. And it seems like Sheik has been going on Ishan, at least through the chat. So Gradient probably feels pretty good to be able to get that expansion, continue to mine out the middle expansion. You see that he's under 50 food. Now he's been buying items as he always does, so his heroes are going to be very good. And if he can mine out both of these expansions, or at least get another 3 to 4k out of these expansions, then he's going to be in a good spot since he's under 50. Now Nightwing, you know, intelligently mined out his main and this top base up here, pretty much under 50 food for the most part, while manipulating in the chat. And then from Sheik's standpoint, you know, he had the gold in the army to be aggressive and really probably go on Ishan quicker before it was a 3-way. But now he's in a weird spot because he has a big army, his hero levels are low, and he's against two players that are going to manip and, you know, cry when they get hit. So it's difficult. Like if he goes all in on Ishan, you know, Grady's probably going to help Ishan most likely. So he's got to be smart with how he uses his army, because as we see, there's no more gold left on the map. You know, the only expansion running, he's only got 400 gold. He's in high upkeep. So he certainly doesn't want to lose his army. So I'm not sure. I mean, how would you play this if you were teal, HighTac, from his position now?
Yeah, I think it's if you have this army and you don't have quite the levels yet, he really wants Archmage level 6 and MK level 5. You need to take a fight at some point. And also some of these units are really falling off like late game. Like mortar teams will not stand a chance against focus fire here of the elf. So if I was him, I think I would try to at some point you need to fight. I think it makes sense here just to convert some of your gold into XP, just to not fall behind. And back to your question, Neo. So like the big difference why it's so important to make it into 3-way at all costs is, first of all, because you can't get teamed 3-on-1 anymore if you're the strongest player, and if you're a rather weak player, as like Radient here in his position, it's super important to get one player out of the game, because usually you will not get finish after, because one of the other players will rely on you, because it's too big of a gamble trying to finish you too. So that's why usually you like try to eliminate one player and then you balance the game, because it's very difficult to finish one player. Because if Sheik, for example, would try to finish Gradient now, Gradient would try to stay alive at all costs and try to team Sheik for at least like 15 minutes, I guess. So it's always yeah, it's always super important to get into the three-way and then balance the game.
What else is interesting is when people ask how much gold they have, how people construct their lives. Like, so Sheik was asked, and he said he has 4,900 gold. He has 95, so okay, about half. Ishan was asked, and he said he has 800 gold, and he has 4,800. Grady actually told the truth. It looks like he had about 1,900 at that time. So it's always kind of funny. People will hardly ever tell the truth, but they may have tells because maybe they, like poker, they whatever guess they have, you can estimate what they have from previous games, or maybe they're smart and they mix it up. We'll see.
Trying to tell some stories here for sure. On the very left-hand side, we see one single worker coming from a Zeppelin. So Ishan already trying to hide buildings or something.
Yeah, we have a one building per island rule in this game, as we have in FML seasons. There is always, like, in some seasons we have banned islands entirely, because on certain maps, I would say half of the maps you can get an island somehow, meaning you can harvest some lumber here and then build a farm, which you can't easily kill from mainland. So, of course, it's a great mechanism to stay alive and a great comeback mechanism, and it's part of FFA to some degree, but of course we had some games in the past where people placed like 10 towers on an island that couldn't be reached from the mainland, and in that case, and after this fight here, there's one legendary game of Qwest on Murgle Oasis that has islands but has no zeppelins, but Qwest managed by having Gargs, then human towers. So he used banshees to get the human shop, and then he used Gargs, the staff, and then ivory towers to get on some of the islands and get towers there, and that was really impressive. So he's usually the first to get islands, but now he's out of the game, and we see a fight here between Sheik and Ishan.
Yeah, so really good positioning by Ishan there. The mortars were raining down. He had great position with the spellbreakers and tanks. And the hero levels are helping, obviously, but really good fight from Ishan. He tried to get out with mass TP. He got stunned by the Mountain King, but still he's doing a lot more damage than what he's taking right now. Staffs out the Paladin.
Yeah, really bad fight for Sheik here. Maybe he's getting some units, but I guess it's okay, but I think he could have gotten a much better fight some minutes ago when he had pushed into Ishan's main base and forced him to pump units right into him instead of being able to position himself in the middle.
Yeah, and Ishan actually lost about 20 food there because he was 90 something in food. Mm-hmm. It looked like Sheik lost more than that. I don't know if he had been pumping during that time or just that his tanks weren't in the battle. Wasn't great for Ishan after all.
Yeah.
So look at Grady. I know just so long ago he looked like he was in such a bad spot. He got ganked by Qwest, but he mined out this middle expansion. He's still mining out the top left. He's at 50 food. He's got good items on his heroes. He still has that big main base. So all of a sudden he's in a good spot again.
Yeah, it's once these humans run out of gold, which will happen, I guess, at some point. Obviously, gyros and tanks are not that big of a risk anymore for him without his AoE, without AoE. He will be able to take hero arena, fight heroes much more easily with this combo than with the Tinker, for example. So maybe it was a good call after all to go for these heroes.
And as long as the humans don't have way higher hero levels, if they don't have a lot of gold, he's going to be able to defend and fight with level 6 Demon Hunter and even level 5 Naga and Focus Fire. You can play almost perfectly. You're still going to lose units in his main base and into his heroes, unless you have significantly higher level heroes and a lot more gold, which Sheik still does have a good amount of gold, but he's behind on levels. His Archmage is just barely level 5. Paladin is still level 3. So he's not really in a position to get mass TP and take out both players. So I do like Grady's position. It's hard to say, though. I mean, it's tough to say who's in the lead. you know, Sheik obviously has the gold and the micro, but I would say he probably has the worst levels and probably the worst experience in the 3-way. So it's pretty close so far.
Yeah, Radient is getting an army here. He is pumping chimeras. So this will be his last army. So he will try to use it wisely, I guess. We'll see. And something very important to point out, both humans have a lot of towers here. And usually in FFA, it's if you have a big army and you know it's your last army and you really want to weaken a player. So far, we have only seen players fighting at their expos most of the time. You really want to push into someone's main base and kill a lot of buildings. Like, it's usually the best way to find out how much gold someone really has. So it's never wrong to kill towers. And we see here, Ishan is hiding an air army in the corner. I'm not sure if Radient will do the same or if he will use his army, but at some point, like, you're tempted to just hide your units because they're so valuable and you can make much better use of them once everyone is out of gold. But of course, if they get scouted right now, he might get teamed for just that army.
I also want to point out, Neil, you touched on it briefly, but every player has Zeppelins throughout the map. Like, if you look at the top right, it's Gradient with 5 Wisps. Top left, another Gradient with 5 Wisps. Down on the middle left, it's Ishan starting to create an island. And then on the other side, on the right side, he also has the same thing. And then even Sheik has a Zeppelin with a peasant in it as well. So they're definitely all gearing up for the ultra late game when it becomes a base race, if it comes down to that. And if it does, then the Mass TP will certainly make a big difference.
And Sheik doesn't have that yet. Still, more and more talking going on between the humans. Gradient does pretty much nothing talking-wise. Okay, now he participates. Nobody's really scouting for the outskirts, I feel, but I guess we're gonna have a fight with Gradient using his big army now.
Yeah, and Gradient known for his very own English, so he tends to leave some letters away. And yeah, I think he can potentially take that fight against Sheik if he micros a bit and stays away from these tanks. Can definitely get some unit kills here.
Yeah, he doesn't have any Hawks. I mean, it's level 2 Stormbolt, so he can kite the human pretty well. Also with Cold Arrow and Mana Burn if he chooses to do so. You know, pick off a Knight, pick off some Griffins, pick off a Mortar. But he's going to Ishan now.
Yeah, Ishan has mass TP, and also, like, as mentioned, it's never wrong to weaken a player here just to see what he got. Obviously, you don't want to weaken a player too much if you rely on him later on. But killing some units here.
And this is such a strong army composition from Gradient with the 2 Mountain Giants, the Hippo support, and the Chims. It's very difficult to fight. I don't think Ishan will be able to fight this very well.
Yeah, but Sheik is going to attack Gradient's main base in the back, so...
Yep, a nice blizzard there.
So Gradient didn't see the rest of the army, right? So he could be misled now by this small army size?
Yeah, I think so. Ishan has his Griffins and his Hawks down below, and it looks like 12 flying machines.
Yeah. And they are trying to man up each other, and you see here Gradient riding lost all against Ishan, and he lost, I don't think, any units. So they're just trying to manage each other, but I think they all, like, each of them knows that they will not listen to each other, so it's not really something to interpret too much into.
But Sheik might, right? Like, Ishan and Gradient are both trying to kind of manip Sheik into maybe attacking the other person.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that's their hope, I guess, with Sheik being the least experienced FFA player. But Sheik in the past had a tendency to, like, be a bit hesitant rather than getting manip too quickly. So we'll see here. He's polymorphing some of these chimeras.
I was robbed of my polymorph yesterday, so glad I finally get that here in FFA. Demon Hunter's in trouble, gotta be staffed out.
Yeah, and it's like, the base is obviously a Gradient standard base with these AP walls. It's looking nicely, and it's usually nice to defend these pushes, but of course against AoE, against Blizzard, like these APs can die very quickly. But
It's
at
just
least
so hard to push the base though. Like I don't like maybe he killed the chim. I'm not sure. And even if you kill buildings, he's gonna lose 10, 15 food. And you know, I guess that's okay with the fact that he has 8k gold. But it's really, really difficult to push that base. And Gradient's hero levels are obviously better than his as well. So,
but he needs to get XP somehow, right? So he has to do this.
Yeah, I mean, ideally Sheik wants to get a fight on open field, but Gradient will not easily try to fight on open field. Like he will try to kite him here, and Ishan will also not fight him. So it's difficult for Sheik. If I was him, I think I would try to push into the human base here. I think that would be a better decision, but I can't blame him for attacking Radiant here. It's tricky because he's facing two players that are not willing to fight him unless they have a big advantage. So, yeah, he needs some XP, as you mentioned. So I think best case he backstabs someone or he scouts corners and finds out that Ishan has hidden units.
yeah, and he's even saying he wants to fight someone. And I think on it's the Priest of the Moon. Priest of the Moon goes down.
Level 6 here for the MK.
Yep, that was a big bash and a Stormbolt.
For Cosmodan, but okay, here comes Sheik, so they're just 2-1-ing Ishan now.
Snipe the chim.
And Sheik just wants some pickoff, so he will try to get something here, but he's blizzarding his own army, so that's maybe not ideal.
Ishan has to step out a Mountain King, but Sheik is not really getting closer to the mass teleport he so desperately wants. And Ishan doing a decent job while getting teamed. He's holding his ground, as it seems.
Yeah, Blizzard really nice against these tanks, and they're not that easy to heal up. And now Gradient is attacking from the back, so... I mean, of course, in this situation, if you attack on your own, you're much more likely to get counter-attacked after. But that's an advantage. If you attack with someone else, then very often, like, because like, you both attack together, none of you can be blamed for that in particular. So sometimes it's easier to attack with someone else than going on your own and risking to get counter-attacked immediately.
So Gradient flew his army through the tanks there. She got a little bit of experience from that.
Whoopsie. Alright, so let's check supplies and gold. 7,600 for Sheik, still at 100, of course, as they are not mining anymore. Gradient 2,000 gold left, 80 pop, and Ishan 1,390 pop.
And he's supply blocked, so Ishan really does not want to lose any more farms here or any heroes, or he, could get easily into a situation where he's forced to use his hidden army in order to get a hero back if he loses a hero. So it's always a risk of hiding stuff.
Yeah, and I think that hopefully the attention will go away from him is what he's hoping. But again, it's just so hard to attack Gradient's base. So, you know, if Sheik wants experience, it's probably going to go through the human. And I wonder if these guys of Gradient and Ishan will decide to attack Sheik at some point together to take out his gold. They may underestimate his gold a little bit, or maybe they don't worry about him so much because his hero levels are low. But obviously from our standpoint, you know, he's still 100 food. He's got, you know, 7k gold. So we'll see if they team him at all in the near future.
Yeah, and we see Ishan pushing now into Gradient's main base.
He's getting a couple of buildings here, thanks to Blizzard, thanks to Waters. Now Chimeras are coming in, of course, super easy for Ishan to get out of there, but whoopsie, that Shredder was on lumber, so did Portal with them. In the end, he didn't kill. In the end, he didn't kill too much. Is it like a strategy to force town portals to drain gold?
Yeah, well, I mean, he got something done, right? So just killing some buildings, never wrong.
Oh, yeah, and he hurt the towers. He forced the TP. You know, he mass TP'd back out. And I think, you know, weakening the base obviously is good. and he's still holding his air units, obviously, at the bottom. I think the other purpose of that attack is, if you're getting 2-on-1 in your main base, oftentimes it's best to just get out and maybe attack someone else's main base, right? And force one of them to TP home, and then you can TP back in maybe a more favorable situation where you don't have to face both players. And if anything, it just changes the attention, right? Both were on him. He attacked Gradient, and then Gradient TP'd. Now he's in his base. Sheik is unsure of what to do, so just making that action perhaps took the attention away from him.
Yeah. And we often read this S word in chat. I guess we shouldn't use it, like we shouldn't speak it out. I heard some YouTube videos get demonetized for if you
it's okay, guys. You
call them out.
You can talk whatever you want here.
Yeah, now we see, and that's very important, like corner scouting is so important, and we see now at least Ishan and Gradient starting to scout corners and getting some hidden units, and we see at the top here at 12 o'clock, Gradient lost his Zeppelin with all the Wisps, so Wisps are dizzy here. Just trying to get in the boat. Oh, and he's trying to get them with a Blizzard. Yeah. And Sheik is just, that's what I mentioned. Like Sheik is, he won a lot of games and he gets more and more experience, but he still seems very confused sometimes with these situations where he just doesn't know really what to do and he just wants to get some XP desperately. And he's not really, like he doesn't really like to push into someone's main base. So let's see, is he finally trying to fight really, or main gone? Yeah. And he shouldn't read too much into that chat because Gradient wouldn't either, so I think he should just push now, like just try to get something done here. But of course not easy against these hero levels.
Yeah, 664, super hard to do.
Yeah, so it's a good defense so far from Ishan. Because he has the hero level advantage, he's able to fight without his other units. So, just breakers and tanks and using Mountain King and Archmage Blizzard, it's easy to micro, it's easy to manage to save your units. And it's tough to fight. It's tough to fight as Sheik, even though he has better micro and a bigger army, his hero levels are lower. Some of his units are not as effective. Like, the gyrocopters and the hawks really don't do anything against a breaker tank composition. So, Ishan is definitely playing this well and not having to expose its army while still, getting attacked by both players.
And Gradient just scouted the island on the left, so Gradient killing the Zeppelin and the worker here.
Feels like Sheik is getting impatient, saying, oh, super boring, of course, as a one-on-one player. You're not too used to situations like this.
Yeah, he says that, but then again, he's never really, like he could push, like he could have pushed 20 minutes ago into Ishan's main base, and he was never doing that really. He was always hesitant to really invest his army into getting XP. And that's what happens to him very often. Like he just doesn't like to push really, and then he gets managed. He, like in this case, not really getting managed, but he's listening to other players, and he's just very hesitant. And now pulling back into his main base instead of he has 96 supply, and he has 96 supply on the battlefields here, while Ishan has only 3 tanks, 5 spellbreakers here. So I think she could definitely try to do a bit more here and maybe kill some buildings with the tanks, but he's not really doing that.
Yeah, he could certainly bring the tanks into his base. It's an uphill battle to fight against Ishan's hero levels, but I think you touched on it. He had a nice window of opportunity, earlier in the game to act, and he made 100 food, and he just kind of walked around the map. He didn't really act too much. I let these other players hoard on 50, get higher hero levels. So, I think on this map, my strategy, if I felt like I had an advantage in micro, a lot of times I would try to be aggressive and force the action and have the highest hero levels in the game. Because from this standpoint, just being behind, it's awkward with his army right now against higher levels.
And Gradient getting some tower kills here.
Regretting something, getting team loses the Paladin indeed. That's quite some gold.
Lost it. Yeah, I think Divine Shield must have been on cooldown from fighting the human player, I guess.
But There was a staff, I believe. Mountain King gotta be careful as well as to TP out.
So we'll see if Ishan still decides not to use his army, right? Like he's hiding it, but is it going to be at the expense of losing your main? And is he okay with that?
A town is under siege.
And what's Sheik doing with this? Is he trying to backstab Gradient here now?
He potentially will, and I think it's a mistake. He's just stopping, like he's just delaying. Yeah, and he is attacking Gradient. Of course, he still wants to get some XP, but in this situation, like he's only stopping Gradient from getting something done, so he's not helping the game flow here. I think it would be better for him to weaken Ishan, and we'll see.
Ishan a little flamer, eh?
Yeah, but and it can be sometimes you want to just build up stress in order to force someone to do something you want him to do. So of course you can get that done more easily if you just build up stress and write, oh, I'm about to die, help within 1 minute, or I'm dead. That's the way you. Oh, and the MK, and that's level 7-6.
That is Tornado then, I guess. Oh man, 2 hero losses, that's super expensive. Ishan down to 500 gold. And Sheik is still at like 7k or something? Oh, 6.5.
Can you guys tell me the time that you're on? Again, I'm at 28, 29, 30.
32, 33, 34,
Okay,
35.
just a second. Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, I've alt-tabbed it a couple of times and realized the replay stops when I do that.
Yep. That does. Alright, we got a huge fight here. Sheik versus Gradient. Oh boy, that's gonna be a lot of experience for the Russian here. Potted, staffed out. How much will he lose, really?
He can't really push into this.
Oh boy, Paladin, last second divine shield. MK in trouble, has to be staffed out. Certainly missing in this fight. Tanks are doing a decent job, but it looks like Gradient's not losing much.
He's losing some chimeras now. I think he should have stayed back.
There with the blizzard and the tanks.
Should have stayed back in tower range here. So yeah, not a bad attack here by Sheik.
He's at risk of losing a lot here, though.
Pretty good control against the Demon Hunter with slow, of course. Couple of buildings down. TP home now, and oh yeah, he lost like 20 supply or something, but can still rebuild.
Yeah, with 6k gold, he can easily get back up to 100 and still has like 2-3k to spare. But yeah, that was. I'm not sure if that was worth it, honestly. He killed some chimeras. I don't think, yeah, it was really worth it, but yeah,
So
maybe it was.
Ishan is, sorry to interrupt you there, but Ishan is offering to basically go back to Grady's base with Teal. So if I was Sheik, I would probably not be producing these units and just agree if Ishan is willing to do it. I would just go back with an army that I can manage without losing units. So like breakers and tanks, basically. I would just go with breakers and tanks. And then you'd go in with Ishan on either side. And if Ishan's willing to team his base and weaken it, then you do that. You know, obviously Gradient's moonwells are low. And then she could use his remaining gold to make a 100 food army, you know, potentially after Grady is out, or at least after he's weakened. But it looks like maybe they're both going to go back anyways. And Ishan is definitely trying to weaken Gradient. I think he probably feels confident against the human. If Gradient is out of the game, Gradient's going to be tougher to fight right now with his hero levels, I think.
Alright, then Sheik is moving across as well, weakening Grady a little bit. Not too much. Oh, Tornado, kind of a waste.
And Gradient hiding. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say he doesn't have an interrupt for Mass GP, but he has Tornado, just missed it.
Yeah, and Gradient now hiding his chimeras because they are only half HP. So this is a very difficult situation for him because if they really want Gradient out, I guess they could. They could continue and get him out of the game.
Yeah, no Moonwell juice.
Okay, last 600 gold. He's trying to survive until nighttime and then heal up, and then he has a kind of powerful army again, especially with these heroes. Not at the moment, but he's fending Sheik off. He doesn't want to lose too much either.
I just want to note how strong the Naga is right here. Like with level 3 True Shard Aura and War Drums and just that Robe with the Magi plus 32.
Super tanky and great damage indeed.
Yeah, for sure. So then you're really just looking at nuking the Priest of the Moon because the Demon Hunter will, also has the Rune Bracers and can go ultimate. So it's a good hero combo, and Grady always plays good elf combos, and he's always really good at using his heroes.
Yeah, another attack here. Yeah, he's really at risk of losing by losing all buildings here. Not that much left.
There's one Ancient of or Tree of Life on the left-hand side, so he's not gonna lose everything at the moment.
Ooh, but the tanks are being left here. And that's a big, can be quite a big deal. Ishan has only 100 gold, so whatever dies here will likely not come back.
So it's interesting that Ishan is going so hard on Gradient, right? And maybe there's just some bad blood. He seems to be kind of, I think he mentioned that he was tilted this game, and he kind of seems like that. Or maybe it's more of his plan. Like maybe he expects Gradient to piece with him at some point, but Sheik is definitely getting overlooked. I mean, he still has 100 food, and maybe he has more gold than the other players think. But we'll see if they stop fighting Gradient and Ishan at some point. There we go. Go peace now. And Grady agreed. So maybe they will go on Teal's base now.
And Sheik is, I mean, I'm not sure if Ishan really understands that Sheik has 100 supply. Like, you see Sheik's army here, and you saw some tanks, but he has a lot of units everywhere. Like, he has some griffins flying around here. He has a lot of tanks in the middle, some units in the space. So, yeah, as you say, I don't think... Or maybe Ishan feels a bit overconfident with his 71 supply. I guess he will still win a one-on-one engagement, I guess, with his hero levels, but needs to take a good fight. And Gradient not out yet.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna team up on Teal, and I think Teal's making the right move of attacking Ishan's base before he gets 2-on-1 in his main base. And it is pretty interesting what you said, how Sheik has units like all over the map, like sporadically placed. But from Ishan's standpoint, I think that, at this point, he wants to get it down to a base race. He wants to play that way, and he's the only one with mass TP right now. And I think that he can win in that situation more so. So maybe they'll weaken down Teal, and, Grady's been weakened down, and either he'll have a chance to win in base race, or somehow he'll have a chance to win with this army that he still has if the other players can go broke. But yeah, I think Sheik is still underestimated at this point, partially because of his army, and maybe they just misjudge his gold a little bit.
Yeah, but he's losing a lot of proxy buildings here. And I think Radiant has scouted corners. I'm not sure if Sheik did, because I haven't seen Sheik scouting as much.
Wow, so interesting. Sheik went to Ishan's base, and then he went directly to Gradient's base, one and then the next.
Yeah, he's playing a handicap match here against both of them without too much problems. Of course, he knows how strong he is and how much he can rebuild.
Right, and I like that he just has his breakers now. All his other various units are good in a full army composition when you're ready to fight, but you just want to basically use your breakers and your tanks and units that you can staff, that you can heal, that you could try not to lose, micro effectively, whereas mortars and priests and knights and flying machines and those kind of things, you'll lose here and there in skirmishes. So I do like that he's holding that stuff back, just fighting with his heroes. And he'll definitely find an opportunity to fight with 100 food. And it looks like, it's true that Gradient or Ishan won't have close to 100 if it comes down to that. They're both broke.
Yeah, and some people asking in chat what they mean with the S word. And that's like a term in FFA that if you, and sometimes it's used just to say someone is over, like it means you stop playing for win and you just play for someone else to lose. So that's why they're saying, yeah, are you doing it? And then they just mean, okay, did you stop playing for lose, or do you still like, yeah, do you still play for win?
Alrighty, big fight here. Sheik with a huge push. He's finally uniting his army. Tanks in Ishan's base.
Yeah.
This might be the
It's
end.
a nice surround there.
And he's still not using his hidden units, and it's always tricky because, of course, once he stops hiding them now, and I'm not sure if his hidden army will be that useful. It's a lot of gyros, so
Ishan still has a lot of mana, level 6 MK. He's gonna push this back.
nice staff.
Yeah, we'll see. He's gonna lose his main hall though. It looks like.
Oh, town portal. I think the castle still stands, and it does.
Oh, a little early there.
Can't really repair it unless he's selling some items. He has a lot of items to sell, but has he any workers here? Yeah, in the Zeppelin.
In the Zeppelin on the bottom right, he does.
Yeah.
And I guess that is it.
Yeah, Sheik is getting some stuff done, but also he's really in the focus now, so they will, I guess, continue to attack him.
And he lost like 3,000 gold on that, so he's down. Oh, maybe even a little more. So back to 2.5, while the others, well, they're broke already.
And Sheik's still so far away from mass TP.
Yeah.
That's why if he had taken a fight right after Qwest was out and Sheik was on 100, I think he could have gotten mass TP maybe right there even. And instead now, half an hour later or 45 minutes later, he still has no mass TP. That's why you try to get your levels as early as you can when everyone still has big armies and is willing to fight.
Yeah, it's just so hard to get experience at this point when Ishan is only fighting with breakers and tanks, and you see Gradient, which is his heroes and his mountain giant.
Ooh,
We'll probably staff out the Archmage. And now Gradient coming from the back, getting some further pickoffs here. Yeah, that's why Ishan with all caps here, trying to, even if he's like, it seems if he's screaming and angry at his computer, like he's not, I believe, but this is the way to build up stress. It usually doesn't work against Gradient anyways. He will do what he thinks is right, but yeah, he's using a beautiful tornado here in Sheik's main base. And in the meantime,
Ooh, Archmage by Ishan, about to die.
Archmage is still gonna go down under the staff, it looks like.
ooh, and that.
But meanwhile, look at Gradient destroying Sheik's main base.
Yeah, but it will take a long time for him to finish stuff. And now Ishan is slightly supply blocked only, so he needs to sell some items, kill maybe some of his own units.
Pretty good quick staffs there from Grady.
Yeah, but Sheik is getting into a more advantageous position here because the teaming of Radient and Ishan is not as coordinated here. And the Demon Hunter forced into TP. Can he staff out?
Nah, he tried before and there was a bash.
He got bashed,
okay.
yeah.
So that's the Archmage gone for Ishan, that's the TP gone for Grady. Things are, from my perspective, looking better and better for Sheik.
Yeah, for sure. They need to get the Archmage back here, of course, and then they, I guess, need to attack together. Maybe that's the easiest way to kill a lot quickly. And the main base of Sheik is still so big. Will take a long time for one of these players alone to finish it.
And Sheik, sensing blood correctly, is going back to find his altar. Looks like he's going to catch the altar in time. And Ishan's going to have to be careful because I believe he killed some of his own units, some of that hidden army, to be able to even revive the Archmage because he was food blocked. And if he loses this castle, which he's about to, and more farms, it's going to be even more difficult to get his hero back.
How do you even do that? I mean, you have to sell so much. Aren't your heroes getting too weak then? And once again, Sheik attacking two bases at the same time. Altar down, castle down.
And Gradient is a very nice split here of tanks by Sheik, forcing Gradient to stay at home while being able to finish Ishan's main base. So this is now very well played by Sheik here. And I think he's in a great position.
Yep, he's got the level 5 Mountain King, almost level 6 Archmage.
And I'm surprised that Ishan is not using his hidden air units now. I think it's time to do that now and to use the air units here against human buildings.
First, he has to keep his army alive, I guess.
Oh,
or the remainders of the army.
Yeah, might lose a hero here if he's not careful. Probably wants to staff out the MK here.
Okay.
Yep, should definitely staff has to be careful on the Paladin there. Yeah, and Ishan still has the air units. He still has 3 Griffins and 2 Hawks. He still has 12 flying machines. But how is he going to get the Archmage back? He's just not going to get the Archmage back. And it's going to be so difficult for him now.
Still chasing, gets a couple of units, or what? Almost unit for free. Another bash, little lucky here. And is that one step closer to Mass Tally?
I'm very surprised that he's still keeping his hidden units here. I think he could get something done with them. Of course, like you want to keep them hidden as long as possible, but I think for him it's in a really bad spot here.
Oh, I think Mountain King's gonna die here.
I think he might die, yeah. And that could be it.
There it is.
Oh,
maybe a staff.
Ooh, nice staff.
But there's more mana.
Yeah, and he's back at the main base, so the MK might die, and he needs to sell some more items so he can revive the Archmage at the top left. Got a new altar there, but...
Yeah, but still no gold, or not enough gold. Staff is on cooldown, and there's more mana.
Yeah, he could staff again. Like, if you staff a hero multiple times, the healing will get quicker. Like, the healing rate will double. So you can staff a unit that was already staffed.
Not enough, though.
In case you didn't know. But, of course, with just one hero, not that easy. And yeah, now he has mass TP, so now it becomes really, really tricky here.
Good luck.
It just feels bad for Ishan that he had this hidden army and he never used it. And now he loses his hero and he can't use it effectively. And, despite Sheik playing passively and maybe not making the best decisions early on, he's played it well. He played the last, 10 minutes very, very well in this game. And, maybe some mistakes from the other players and, consistent play from Sheik, maybe being overlooked by the other players as well or underestimated. And he looks in a great shape to win.
And finally, Ishan is moving out his units simply because he's supply blocked and needs to sacrifice something now. Way too late, because he could have revived the Archmage way earlier. He's up to 800 gold, but he needs to lose 25 supply, basically.
Ooh.
And he's doing that now in Sheik's main base, getting some kills, but he's killing off his own Griffins now at the right. It's so painful, like hiding them for 30 minutes and now
use them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I wonder if it's better to try to fight with them, but at this point, Sheik's army is very, very strong now. He has the hero levels that he needed. He's got level 5 MK, he's got mass CP, he's got the breakers and the Griffin mass. He can easily fight either player now, where, just so long ago, it looked like he would have trouble versus either player. So you see how the tides can turn, obviously with the hero loss, with, waiting to use your army for too long, etc.
Yeah, it's tricky. And also I think before she got to mass TP, I think it would have been way easier to harass buildings with these hidden air units. Gradient's probably last attack here, but yeah, it looks pretty grim here for them. They need to kill like 20 more buildings here, and I don't think Sheik will allow that.
A little bit of retribution for Sheik then. He got smacked in the 2-2 by Croft and Starbuck yesterday, so at least winning that FFA. Healing for the soul a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, we see here, like every player has a very different or unique playstyle in FFA. So here, of course, we had players, at least 3 of them, that are more like chat or macro focused. But yeah, it's really one of the beauties of FFA that everyone has, or usually players develop a very unique playstyle, and then yeah, you can identify them based on how they play. And yeah,
Usually
Sheik,
names are hidden, right?
in ladder they are, yeah. Because we saw too much teaming for name in the ladder. But yeah, only on ladder. Usually if you play in a league, like there's some leagues that we play anonymously. We have a team league sometimes, every or 1 to 2 times a year, where we play in teams, but then every team seeds a player for a match, and then teams have shared accounts that are being used to seed a player anonymously.
That's
but in the usual FML seasons, it doesn't make sense because you only have 4 players and they know who's in game. So
Yeah, of
even
course.
if they would play anonymously, you could identify them within minutes.
So Gradient still has 5 chimeras and a hippogriff and fairy dragons up there. But just like Qwest, it's gonna be too late. I mean, Gradient's army can certainly fight a little bit better, but he doesn't have the anti-air to face all the griffins, and you know, Sheik has 3 sorcerers to slow everything. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and Gradient even got an item for Ishan just so he can sell it and get back his hero, but don't think this is going to help much.
And Sheik just scouted this altar up here as well. So even if Ishan can get under the food that he needs to be at, this altar is probably going to go down before the hero arrives.
Yeah, the mass TP of Sheik or getting mass TP is really a turning point here, and yeah, of course that makes it much easier to withstand teaming and easily kill buildings on the other side of the map. So yeah, I think after too much hesitation early on, where I think he could have speeded up the game much earlier, I think now late game he plays it really well.
Mastelli on that tank. Will it survive? Oh yeah, have fun, Demon Hunter. Stormbolt to the head. Clap as well. Is there a staff? Oh yeah, but is there a tree even to staff on? Yeah, it is. Or some kind of building somewhere. Bottom left, actually.
Yeah, normally, like, of course, with this hero combo, normally you can fight, like with the elf hero combo, Demon Hunter, Naga, Priestess, you can fight other heroes really well, but of course, if you're up against an army here, against 75 supply, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And ideally, you want to have Starfall against human, although there's an MK, but still. And the new altar here also immediately getting scouted, and now the Paladin about to die.
So, almost a surround. But he's gonna get that here. At least with the next Stormbolt. No way out. No item. No Zeppelin. No... Nothing. Also no surround. Oh, maybe something from the shop. Invis. Sweet. Is there a gyro around? Not really,
Yeah,
right?
he's got arcane powers too, I think.
All
And
3
that's
heroes
it.
gone. Yeah, that's Ishan gone, right? What has he got left? Oh, he can revive the Mountain King, actually.
Yeah, but what's it going to do for him? Like, MK is not that good against buildings.
Final fight. Maybe. Going for the DK, the Demon Hunter again. Metamorphosis doesn't really do much at this point anymore.
And Sorks are a really good addition at this stage of the game. Very difficult to just hit and run against MK and Sorks. So, yeah, congrats to Sheik. I think his first title. He started playing FFA, I think in 2019, really actively. That's when he first started to participate, and he got better very quickly. He has a very calm play style, and I think unlike many other players that start newly with a solo background, like he was always very he was never focusing too much on just getting quick fights and trying to win early, but really started to understand the game, and then maybe becoming a bit too of a passive player sometimes. But maybe it's also because he played human here.
Yeah, Sheik with his off race and 1 against 2 at the end, and with the lowest level. No GG by Ishan. Maybe afterwards in private chat. Radient stays a little bit, so kind of second place for him, but in FFA it's just 1 winner and 3 losers, right? It's no second, third, fourth place.
Yeah, I mean, in FML you get some points still, depending if you're first with top score or if you're second, third, or fourth player, but eventually only first like the first seed or victories really get you significant points.
Yeah, it's too bad for Gradient that he doesn't have just a few more hippogriffs, like even 5 or 6 hippogriffs with his chims and his hero levels, I think could fight Sheik's army, especially because Sheik doesn't have a panda, so the hippogriffs will be really effective, but he just doesn't have the anti-air, so there's just really no way, he can't really base race, he doesn't have the heroes to do that.
And he apparently didn't realize that he's on his own.
Honor fight.
Yeah. And I think Radient is like strongest in these base race scenarios, and that's why I really prefer him playing Tinker hero combo. It's much more fun to watch also, to see him harassing. And in base race, it's just not as strong to have these heroes.
Yeah, Tornado helps to a degree, I guess, but of course the Tinker and Robo form, etc., does quite a bit.
Exactly. Yeah, it can be nice. Like if you're dominant, and usually with the hero combo you try to be 1 to 2 levels ahead of your enemy, and then you have Owl and can scout everything. So it can be strong in base race, but of course not. Like it's usually not in just killing buildings very quickly. So like you have Tornado, but yeah, that's it.
Gradient's down to 1 building, if I see that correctly.
Yeah, just this
2
one Edge of Wonders here in the corner, and where's the second?
There's the Tree of Life, like 10 o'clock, I think.
Oh yeah, it walks. And it has Nature's Blessing, which should make you very happy, I guess.
Yeah, obviously, best upgrade here, but I don't think that will help him anymore. Very little anti-air, as you said. Super strong hero combos. This might just be the final fight. Chimeras are trying their very, very best to get rid of that Archmage, but yeah, not much to do here. Polymorph, 3 times Polymorph in the air. Flying Sheep, just like on Amazonia.
Love the Polymorph.
It's so beautiful. And he keeps his hero alive. Always far ahead. Here's Invis. Polymorph to reduce the damage, and yeah. The age is finally about to fall for Cosmodan, Avatar used, and that is the end for the first hero and probably the second and third hero falling. Sheik winning FFA, the very, very first W3 Champions FFA champion. Still trying to get
the Archmage might die there. The Sorg slow.
Sorg slow, Stormbolt, Sorg kills the Chimera. David defeats Goliath here. You're too pro for me, GG. Congrats to Sheik, $100 to Russia, to UMAT, to Sheik, even with his off race.
Yeah, and even here in the score table, second place for Gradient. So for being defeated almost early on, he got back in the game. Bit of an unfortunate ending here for him, but yeah, really well played by Sheik in the end. Very solid, calm style. Didn't man it much, and yeah, congrats.
I think we were waiting to see if he would get mass TP, for it to be effective, and once he did, he quickly gained the advantage.
Yeah.
And compounded by some mistakes by the other players, in hiding their armies and becoming food stuck on their heroes, but. Yeah, really nicely played, especially the end. Couldn't have played it much better, and in the latter part of the game.
For sure. All right.
That was pretty damn sweet, man. I missed casting FFA with you guys. 90 minutes, pretty short for an FFA grand final.
Yeah, sometimes these finals tend to be a bit shorter, sometimes a bit longer. Also depends on the map. Yeah, I enjoyed it still, and I hope we will see the next final next season. Hopefully, a lot of people just trying or going to try out FFA, just queue up and just try it out and don't give up too quickly, and also maybe take a read of the FFA guide if you haven't played FFA before. Seksi has written a wonderful guide, only 90 pages, but I guess you can already get some insights. But just reading the first few, I think, already helps.
And I think I was thinking that maybe at some point, sometime soon, we could host like a show match on maybe Divide and Conquer with taverns and do like a 12-player show match.
Ooh.
And I would put up like $100 just for the winner of that game. I mean, I would play in it as well, but whoever wins, I would put up $100. Maybe we can do random race or random hero or something like that to make it interesting and maybe give people a little bit different view of free for all, than just the standard kind of league style 4-player free for all. A little more chaotic with more players. If you guys would be interested in that.
Absolutely. I mean, Meisterschaft is coming to an end in the one-on-one. The next season of War 3 Champions will take a while. We need some content, and I got some craving for FFA, so whatever you got, hit me up.
Yeah, we'll do that. Sounds good. Great idea.
Yeah,
Great.
It's definitely time for some FFA again. That was super fun last time. And how far is FML into the season? Is there final soon?
It's round 2 of 4 rounds, and then we have one semifinal and then the final. So still some weeks to go. Round 3 is going to start tomorrow. Tonight there will be a match, we usually we always post the match times on ffamasters.com. And if you join our Discord channel, you will also get quick information about the streams, and usually we stream on twitch.tv/FFA Masters League, or maybe on Back to Warcraft at some point.
Maybe at some point, indeed. This is the homepage here. FML links you to the Discord, to the guide, to the map pack, to the schedule, to everything. And I heard from the admins that the players are streaming as well, usually that we just saw. So do you guys have the Twitch links for them available as well?
So I have. They're not as straightforward, I guess, as Back to Warcraft. So let me quickly, just so I don't. Gradient streams on twitch.tv/Gradient2017. What are these Twitter handles? These
Twitch names.
Seksi, what's yours? You haven't played, but still.
Yeah, so mine is twitch.tv/FML_Seksi. And I think Qwest is /FFA Qwest, I believe.
Yeah, I think FFA. We should have prepared that. FFA _ No, that's Polina Qwest. I guess that's not FFA Qwest.
Yeah, it's just FFA Qwest.
FFA Qwest, yeah, you're right.
Alright.
And Ishan is, I found him, is Peregrine Esh, so PEREGRINEESH.
Okay, very easy to remember, I guess.
Easy.
We will ask the admins, or you just send them to me, and then War 3 Champions will tweet them out. We put them in the description, all the important links for FFA as well, if you're curious about that. It was a very, very cool premiere, guys. It was super lovely to be casting with you together. Hopefully more in the future. That's it for FFA. Congrats to Sheik. I think Seksi can finally go to bed now.
Yeah, coming up on 5 a.m. I'm falling asleep a little bit, but I really appreciate the opportunity to cast with you guys again, and I'm sure we'll have some more and some exciting games in the future as well, guys, and lots of good stuff for free for all as well. So really appreciate the support, and hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Neo, and have fun with the other games this afternoon. And
Thank you very
see
much.
you around.
Have a wonderful Sunday, guys. Of course, my Sunday is far from finished because after crowning an FFA champion, we need to crown a 2-on-2 champion. It's Croft and Starbuck versus Shocky and Tox. And I'm gonna be joined by the other Back to Warcraft guys. Gonna be Remo, gonna be Carsten, gonna be, what's the other guy's name? Bidu, of course. And we're gonna have a best of 5 2-on-2 grand final. And then we move on to the 1-on-1 where it's Happy versus Law Lion and it's Fly versus X-Lord and the grand final. So we got lots of stuff to do here. A little bit of a break for me. Thanks for tuning in early. That gives you, of course, the chance to head over to the match arena of the War 3 Champions season final. We are at 5,120, plus, of course, the governor support with 2,500 on top. Thank you, Ilmby, for the $20 donation. Neo and Remo, you're my heroes. Thank you very much, Ilmby. Exclamation mark W3C finals for the link to the match arena. Support this tournament, support 1-on-1, 2-on-2, FFA, all the good stuff we got here. So now, taking a break for 13 minutes exactly, and then it's time for the 2-on-2 decision. See you in a bit.